Hello, hello, hello. I'm back again. I don't know why I'm singing so much. It's okay. Bear with me. So, I'm super excited to talk today about resumes. Um, it's one of those things that you need pretty much for every job. Actually, let me back up. Let me rewind. Let me introduce myself to those viewers who are new. I am Lauren Young Durbin. I am a career transition coach and a certified professional resume writer. So I know myself around the resumes. And I'm also a certified digital career specialist, which means I know my stuff about LinkedIn. Um, just as a really quick plug, I am launching a course starting tomorrow. The card opens tomorrow on the fundamentals of LinkedIn and how to use it and optimize and your use of it. Um, Also, in next week's Taiki's talk, will not be on Tuesday. It's going to be a Thursday Taiki talk at 1 o'clock. We have a guest I'm very excited about, but I'll come back to you that at the end. I'll run back around. So back to where we are, where we were, talking about resumes and mistakes, common mistakes that people make with their resumes. And the first big one that people make is not customizing it. And I know people, you hear this probably all the time. Oh, you have to customize your resume. You got to customize your resume. Um, the reason why people keep saying it is because people keep doing it. If people stop doing it, you wouldn't have to say it. So, um, so what I mean by that is like it's totally fine to have basically a template for your template resume. In fact, that's what I generally prepare for my clients unless they know, oh, okay, well, I want to apply to this specific job. I want this resume tailored to this job, customized to this particular job. Then I can tailor it to that. But generally speaking, what I like to provide is a template resume where you can change things based on what the position that you're applying to is for. And you can add keywords and those kind of things to make sure that it's customized and that it's picked up by the software and all that. So you just want to make sure that while you may have a resume template, you also want to customize each resume that you send out when you're applying for jobs. The second thing that people do that's mistake is not having a focused or vague, have a having a vague resume. The thing is, your resume is supposed to be your first view, not your, their first view of you when you come through the regular application process. So if your resume and your career summary in particular is vague, you don't want them to have to work to see how you fit this position. And too often people do that. And how you can make that work for you is that just check to make sure I don't have any questions or comments. Um, the way you make that work for you, again, is part of customization. You really want to make sure that while you have a general career summary, because your career is your career, but you highlight the experience and the skills that matter to that particular position. So you want to make it incredibly easy for them to see how you fit right into this position, why you should be considered for it. Number three, 3 out of 10. We're a third of the way through. You want your resume to be organized. You don't want it to be unorganized. That's a better word. And the most obvious reason is that you want to make a good impression. You don't want them to like, what is this? I don't know what this is. This is a mess, and then just toss it into the bin. You want them to take the time to read it. They don't have to be impressed by your organization, but they certainly shouldn't be distracted by it. So you want to make sure you use headlines, bullet points. You want to put the information that's most pertinent at the top because it might just scroll over the rest. So whatever's the most important thing for that particular position. You want it to be near the top. You want to have a consistent design. So if you use the circle or the dot bullet points in one section in the same level, you don't want to use arrows. You want to be consistent throughout it because it just looks better and it shows that you're thoughtful. Quite honestly, if you do it right, they're not going to really think that much about your organization and your format and all that. So you want them to focus on the substance, not how it looks. Next, let's talk about keywords in industry specific terminology. When it comes, okay. When it comes to keywords, again, read the job description carefully. Let me look over it first, like glance at it to make sure that it fits what you're looking for, but then read it carefully. And you'll soon pick up on what are the keywords? What are they looking for? What's something that they bring up? Maybe they bring up research. Maybe they bring up drafting. Those are the words that you want to make sure that you have in your resume, when you're talking about your work experience, and in your if you have a separate skills section, you want to make sure you list the skills that are keywords in the description, the position description, and also in your career summary and in your experience sections. Okay, so next we have quantifiable achievements and results. This is something that I would say, if not 100%, at least 95% of my clients, I have to go back to and say, I need quantifiable achievements and results. Usually people, they have some, like they'll say, I wrote hundreds of contracts or whatever. And it doesn't have to be specific. It doesn't have to be, I wrote 527 contracts, but you can say over 500, for instance. But you want to make sure that your achievements are quantifiable because it can really show the impact that you have. It sets it apart. It builds credibility. And again, it makes it very easy for them to see that you're accomplished and what you've done and how you can fit in and bring value to the position and to the company. Next up, don't forget, okay, this is the sixth one. Y'all know how much I talk about transferable skills and experience. I don't talk about transferable experience as much as skills, but still, I'm quasi obsessed with the whole transferable skills. I harp on it, particularly because most of my clients are looking to change careers, if not change jobs. And in order to make that transition easier, and like I said, to not make people work so hard for it, to figure out how you fit in and how your experience and skills fit in, harp on them. I mean, not to the point where they're just like, yeah, I get it. But you want to make sure that you're showcasing and highlighting what those transferable skills are. Maybe you've done legal research. I'm talking about a lot of legal stuff because of my personal background. Maybe you've done a lot of legal research, and now you want to go into literary research. Research is like it's historical. A lot of legal history is historical history. So you would want to talk about research. You want to talk about, even though you did legal research, what are the commonalities between the two things? So you want to make sure that your transferable skills are highlighted and that you're showing them off. And again, I'm going to say this really for everyone, don't make them work so hard because they're not. They're not going to work hard to see how you fit into the position. So number 7 is not including. You don't want to include irrelevant or outdated information. If you did something in 1997, it likely doesn't need to be on your resume. Unless you won like a Nobel Prize or something, sure, keep that on there. That should be near the top. But most of us haven't won a Nobel Prize or I don't know, Pulitzer or something. We haven't done that. Sorry, I don't know. It's not really on my list of to-dos or a bucket list of mine, but it might be on yours. And when it happens, you keep that on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile for the rest of your life, because you know that other people do. They have people from 1967 talking about, oh, they were nominated for an Oscar, which is an achievement. So your resume is the same thing. Major awards are never outdated, really. Um, Outside of the major awards, you want to make sure that you stay preferably. I really try hard. Sometimes I have to go outside the 10-year rule. And by the 10-year rule, I mean generally anything after 10 years, or before 10. I'm not really trying to think how that goes. Anything more than 10 years ago isn't as relevant as something more recent. So you want to make sure that the information you include is relevant and up to date. And also, if you haven't done anything up to date, you might want to start working on that. You want to skip like personal details, particularly things about your marital status, your religious affiliation, and hobbies, because one, that can cause some issues legally and for the marital status, and religious affiliation, because there's some discrimination issues attached to that. And just leave off your hobby simply because every single centimeter of your resume is viable real estate. You don't want to give up talking about your hobbies. It's great that you like to play tennis, but it's probably not relevant to the job you're applying to. Save that for your LinkedIn profile. Talk more about that later. um, I would say top three things you want to do is to proofread your resume and pay attention to details. They should be absolutely no, I don't know, put 10 O's after that N. Misspellings. None. There's no excuse. There is not a single good excuse for you to have a misspelling on your resume. And I'm not talking about you add an O for I'm trying to think of what the British add, sorry, a U, like color. In America, we don't add a U to color, but they do it in Britain. I'm not talking about that. That's not misspelling necessarily. I'm talking about spelling color with a K, and it's not like a Kardashian paint. I don't know if they've started doing Kardashian paint yet, but when they do, you can guarantee that it's going to be called Kardashian color with a K. So unless you're talking about Kardashian color with a K, you should spell color with a C. If you want to add a U to seem fancy, have at it. Your mileage may vary. So, um, so you want to make sure that there's no misspellings. People have different feelings about the Oxford comma. I think it generally doesn't really matter, but some people do. Spacing does matter, but not as much as people think it does. I had someone look over my resume and they actually, and like I paid them to look over the resume, and they missed a misspelling, but they picked up on that I had an extra space or I didn't have another space after comma or something. And I'm like, what? Like I paid you money specifically to look over my resume with a fine tooth, yeah, look over it with a fine tooth comb and a magnifying glass. And you missed a misspelling, but you're like, oh, ha, there's an extra space. No, no, thank you. No, ma'am. So make sure that you don't make that mistake. Always prioritize things. It's fine to have a comma or not to, or not a comma. You can have a comma. Oxford commas, there's a fight over it. I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to get into it. I'm an Oxford comma girl. But anyway, I'm not going to fight over it. Y'all let y'all handle that. So back to the overall thing. Don't forget to proofread and pay attention to the details. And kind of the counter to what I was saying earlier about including irrelevant or outdated information, you want to make sure that you include things that are relevant. In this case, I'm talking about professional development, certifications. If you are a doctor, you want to include your board membership. If you are an attorney, you want to include your bar membership. Everything has starts with a B. But anyway, I have a bar, I'm barred and licensed. Barred means license in the legal world. I'm licensed in Virginia, so I have my Virginia license on my resume and on my LinkedIn profile. I also have certification in, I'm a certified professional resume writer. So I also have my certification about that when it's relevant. I don't really use my resume that much now, but when I was applying to things that when that was relevant, I had that and my certified digital career specialist certifications listed. They're both listed in my LinkedIn profile because it is relevant there. So you want to make sure you show those relevant certifications. Like I said, for when I was applying for legal positions, my coaching certifications weren't relevant, so they weren't on my resume. You also want to make sure that you get new certifications, like through LinkedIn, you get certifications. Um, Coursera is another place where you can get certifications. So you might want to look into different certifications that help sub you out for the crowd. Finally, and this goes back to the organization part, don't ignore the power of design and visual appeal. Now, different places have, or different industries have different ideas about what's okay. Like, for instance, if you're in a tech startup or you're doing something creative, you can be a little bit more creative with your resume. If you're doing a legal position or you're working with an more traditional accounting or traditional for a traditional company, you want to stick to like the usual way of doing things. You don't really want any color, unless it's like it's a hyperlink to like your LinkedIn resume or something like that, or your email. But you want to use headings, subheadings, you want to make it really easy for them to get the information they want by keeping it simple and clean. Um, Use bullet points, that kind of thing. So today we just kind of went through 10 things 10 mistakes you may be making, why it's important, those particular things are important, and some of the things you can do to make it uh sorry, make it more appealing, more successful, more efficient. I personally offer resume writing services. So if you're interested in those, you can contact me either through LinkedIn, or you email me at support@techiecoaching.com. Did I get that right? Nope. One day I'm going to get it right there, but support@techiecoaching.com. Have some admin announcements. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week's Tuesday Taiki Talk. It's going to be a Q&A about LinkedIn. I'll be answering some questions that I've received about LinkedIn. If you have questions, feel free to DM me through LinkedIn, and I'll answer those questions. I'll also talk a little bit about my course and that I'm offering. I'm very excited about Unleashing LinkedIn's uh, potential, and it's the basic fundamental course. It's for people who are starting out with LinkedIn, whether they're like, I don't, my profile isn't ready, it isn't really complete. So covering 3 things in 3 different weeks too. The first session is a group coaching. First session is going to be about making sure your profile is complete and how to do that. The second session is going to be about building your network and engaging with them. And the third section is going to be about job search. So I'm super excited about that. The cart opens tomorrow on it. Keep your eye open, because there will be plenty of opportunities for you to join the class. The first 10 people who join the class and also sign up for the LinkedIn profile writing services, you get a one-on-one coaching session with me, which that's awesome. But in the first 20 people to sign up for the course, you get a separate VIP Q&A. I'll be able to review at least one person's profile. And those would take place after the class. So the classes start next Thursday, the 29th. So it'll be June 29th, July 6th, and July 13th. So again, if you have any questions, I can give it to you. Nope, I did not. If you have any questions about it, you can email support@taikicoaching.com. So next week, I'll be taking questions live. If you can't make this, you can't make the Taiki Talk, Tuesday Taiki Talk, you can DM me questions. I'm going to send out a post asking people for questions they have about LinkedIn. So I'll be answering those. And again, you can DM me, you can answer in that post. Next Thursday, we have a very special guest. Look up her name because it's Maury, but I don't want to mess up her last name. I feel like that's disrespectful. So it's next Friday, June 30th at 1:00. We're gonna have a Tuesday Taiki Talk guest with Maury Taharipur. And she wrote Bring You. And it's about bringing your authentic self to any negotiations. And I'm super, super excited about that. And if you have a chance, check out her book, Bring Yourself. And I'll talk to you guys twice. I'll talk to you twice next week. All right. See you later.